Okay, get my D6s in the right place. A whole lot of them, because I need a whole lot of them. One of the procedures in the playtest document is, upon being confronted with all of the player characters, the game master, before play begins, just tells everybody how they're all together. And we get through all that tedious bullshit of how we met and how we decided to hook up and how we all fought against this particular villain and then we're Fireforged friends even though we were pissed at first. And all that. Sadly, this game did not do that. So we are in the situation where we're pissed at each other. Characters are, mismatched and miscommunicated, and I love that sort of thing. So I had fun playing it. But on the other hand, we shall run around in circles forever unless we simply agree that this is a super group. Now, I don't expect you guys all to just sort of snap your fingers and make that happen, but bear in mind that this is supposed to be about a super group, not about three characters roaming around independently and me having to play Danger Sense every damn time to put you in the same spot. So, therefore, when you see the chance to connect, please do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just so that we can get past that particular difficulty of the genre. Ross, susceptibility is concerned, it's not recovering. You need your dose before that will come back. All the more reason why you would look pretty damn shaky while you're talking to Liam.
Yeah.
All right. Now, of course, you can always go back and try and get some.
I could do that.
Right. I want to cut to a bunch of quick chases, and I want all three people to tell me what they're going to be doing. Quick chase number 1. The American Policy Institute, which is the organization to which the fellow belongs who came to speak at the university. His name was Spencer Richards, Santiago, was the speaker that you grabbed and took up on the roof. And I will tell you that your telepathy, talking to him, was enough to land you enough information, even though he didn't confess it. But it was enough to land you enough information that you were able to, provide the university with enough so that they could investigate, and then they could try to take some act. That there were reasons to suspect that he had been up to no good at that demonstration.
But nothing that can be traced back to me, right?
Well, that's the trouble. It is based on your testimony. It was very visible and very public that you seized him and took him up to the rooftop. And so although they aren't saying, they don't know your telepathy, of course.
Yes, that's what I'm concerned about.
Well, it all depends. I mean, they're basically going to say, thank you for the information. And the university security, Gardner, can take responsibility for the information so that it doesn't have to come to you testifying. If it did come to you testifying, you might... everyone's kind of assuming that he confessed.
Yes.
And the trouble is, though, it might be on your character's mind, just like it is on your mind right now, as I can tell, that if you actually have to get on the witness stand and testify how you learned this...
Exactly.
So you're kind of going, that might be interesting. Now, what you found out was that the American Policy Institute had really, really hoped to provoke an attack on themselves and then defend themselves with their ammunition. And so they literally went in with the intention of shooting people.
Whoa.
So
that really sounds bad.
But they really wanted it to go to court, you see. They really wanted this to become a court case so that they could make politicians who like to talk big about freedom of guns would have to support them. So this was a big deal. Now, on the other hand, the American Policy Institute, which seems to have sufficient funding, is also bringing a countersuit against the university and you specifically.
Uh-huh.
Because,
And why would that be?
well, very clear, the infringement of free speech. Very clear that they were, harassed and attacked by this overzealous member of the security, and that he clearly, failed to recognize the danger of these radical, anarchist, leftist, socialist, and otherwise objectionable, people, violent people.
Even though I was only doing my job because they were carrying weapons in a place where they're not supposed to. It was illegal for them.
Obviously necessary self-defense. Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. That's a quote. So right.
Between Monsanto and now this, I absolutely need to get a lawyer now.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a really good idea. Now, especially because Gardner will tell you that the university administration is they're feeling pressured by Monsanto, and it might be much easier for them simply to cut you loose and let you be Monsanto's problem. And Monsanto seems perfectly happy with this. I mean, Monsanto's like, that would be terrible. So that's your situation. Give me just a moment to go and bother the other player characters now. Poor Rod was left out in the cold last session, and I have decided to make up for this. The Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement has brought a great deal of pressure down on to St. Mary's, which is going to be investigated severely. And it is, they have sequestered Dean John Wayland for his own protection. And the connections to various law-breaking groups are being, checked with. And in particular, we can't overlook the dangers of terrorism, because clearly that was a terrorist attack on a Christian church last week. And the precise relationship between Hispanic immigration and Muslim terrorism, the precise relationship between the two may seem murky to the naive third party, but it plays well. By the way, I kept calling Dr. McCauley Dr. Connolly last time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, Dr. McCauley has basically shut down. The Oblate program has gone dark. Shut down is the wrong word. She's not shutting down at all, but it's gone dark. What program? And so, but this is just a university, and that kind of thing isn't going to stand up to a scrutiny very, very long. The two of you may be quite concerned regarding Dr. Wayland, who, as you know, was tagged as the leaker, tagged as the informer to ICE, but who knows? So there's that. I will talk about another thing about this in a moment, because Dr. McCauley and you are going to, I shall do it now. Dr. McCauley and you are going to be in a meeting. In a meeting with a very professional woman who's about your age, or a little bit older, in fact. And so she seems rather young for this, but her manner is of an executive who has considerably more experience than her age would indicate. Her name is Tina Long, and since this is a few days after the prior events that we've played, you have had a chance to talk with your wife, who has told you her biggest concerns of the moment. She went to college with a woman named Tina Long, who she says she has This has made her quite nervous, because in a newspaper article about Noldo, Vieira, and Myrmidon, she saw in the picture, this was right during the big night when you got hurt, she had seen in the newspaper picture that morning, before she found out you were in the hospital, that Tina was standing there behind Noldo Vieira in the picture, looking like one of his helpers or assistants or aides, and that she is worried. She says that woman is one of the most ruthless and scary people I've ever met. If she's going to be involved in this in any way, I kind of take back what I was saying about maybe Vieira being a good idea for San Antonio. And she would not have brought this up to you as the oblate so much as just talking about this is an issue that gets talked over, in your circles over and over, and so it's on her mind. She's just letting you know she has a personal insight into this. Now, and guess, of course, who you find yourself looking into the eyes of over the faculty conference table at St. Mary's with Dr. Macaulay sitting next to you, but the extremely polite, extremely prepared, and eminently reasonable Tina Long, who is outlining the idea that Myrmidon, whom she represents, would be, very much supports the activism, regarding the separated families and regarding the treatment of people, particularly here in kind of what could be seen as the cauldron of the Texas border. And that's one of Noldo. She calls him Noldo. Everybody's encouraged to. And so she is perfectly happy to have Noldo, to tell you that Noldo is very. I'm going to start all over. She's happy to tell you that Noldo is committed to a more positive environment for aspirant potential Americans, and that that he thinks that the current administration and policies are terrible, just terrible. And he understands that St. Mary's and other schools, other institutions are involved in this, and he would very much like to have a positive relationship. In fact, if there's any kind of support or help, legal advising, strictly informal, of course, that St. Mary's could benefit from, or any program that St. Mary's may be supporting with an interest in this matter. Her voice becomes flat and direct during that phrase. That she would, be happy to outline that for you.
Well, we do have a Center for Legal and Social Justice, so that is always accepting pro bono work. So if you want to liaise with that, we'd certainly appreciate it.
Much other neutral discussion of that kind occurs.
Right.
The other thing for Santiago is that you too are having a university meeting. And in this case, you are meeting with a representative of the company called Academy, which will be helping university security. Because clearly, what with these events on campus, university security needs some help. So they're outsourcing to this company. And you are meeting Rod Ruiz, a man of perhaps Mexican-American origin, who is about late 30s. And he is not a very corporate type. He's the first thing he does is, greet Gardner in a manly way. They kind of size each other up a little bit, and he starts to organize things. And he doesn't do so in a management-friendly way. He just starts putting equipment where it belongs and not asking anybody anything.
How's Gardner take?
Gardner is being very respectful. The guy's kind of macho authority is impressing Gardner. It's the kind of language that he has sort of reflexive respect for. And so,
But is this guy going to be a superior to Gardner or what? Who's in charge of who now?
Right. At the moment, his capacity is advisory, but he will be directing the actions of. He is the field officer, and there will be people that will be his subordinates specifically, and that unless Gardner says otherwise, his directives should be taken as your boss. In other words, Gardner could countermand him, but the way that they talk is like, well, that's just sort of theoretical. We all know that following Ruiz's guide here and lead would be the right thing to do. These are the right people, says Gardner. These are the right people to have.
All right. And does Gardner have the authority to kick them out, or only the people higher up, like the people from the university?
He has no authority to kick them out. That has been managed at a level far above him.
Damn. All right. So, how does the guy greet me?
Well,
what's his opinion on superheroes and what I did? Am I a PR disaster or what?
He says that the kind of initiative that you took could easily have gone very badly wrong and may well have been misdirected. That if you're to do any such thing in the future, that you need to make sure that the designated targets are dealt with as well. That we have objectives. Every single operation has an objective. Initiative and adaptivity and adaptability are virtues. He's impressed by your adaptability. But there is no room in a professional operation of this kind for too much initiative. So, therefore...
So I look worried and I tell him, do you think something like this is going to happen again?
He smiles and says, with anarchists like this on the prowl, bet on it. And you know what? Do you want to... You do have voluntary telepathy if you want to. Do you want to try it?
Sure.
I mean, you can switch it on. I mean, there's no limitation that says you can't use it when you do want to. That's not part of your power construction. It's just that it clicks on and off when you don't control it. But in this case, you can try it yourself.
Yes, let's read this guy. See what I find out about him. Here we go. 12.
Oh, all right. The first thing you'll see is that you pick up Gardner very easily. Your telepathy is area of effect, and there's nothing you can do about that. Gardner's worried about you.
I'm sorry. May I ask everyone to please imagine like those waves of blue and orange rings going out of my head, circling everyone?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And so now, of course, only the reader can see this. But what's kind of interesting is that Gardner's an open book as far as his surface thoughts are concerned. Go ahead and roll your dice of effect, which I believe was 5 dice. So, Rod, after the meeting with Tina, unless you want to do something specific in it, then you and McCall and Cheryl. No, wait. What was her name?
No.
Cheryl?
Cheryl McCall.
Yeah. That's right.
Cheryl,
You and Cheryl are going to have like a battle plan. She's like, this is bad. I mean, we hoped to, John hoped to break you out in some humanitarian public, PR kind of positive way, and now we're right in the middle of some kind of dreadful black op. And so, whatever it is, your resources, here's where, she says, here's where our relationship flips, Michael. Here's where it flips. I'm not your advisor in this. I don't even think I'm your boss. I need to defer to you. How do we deal with this? What is it you can...
Right now, my priority is making sure that the actual threat to anyone's life and limb is off the table if I can. That means that I have to figure out if whoever these guys are still in town, not still in town, what they're doing. What are the terms of Dean Wayland's sequestration? Can you get to him?
She says, we need to figure this out. And I'll do what I can to find out, but I'm getting stonewalled in many ways. They wave the word terror and everybody just goes idiotic. And so, particularly at the administrative level. Now,
Ron, what physically does sequestration consist of?
Right.
Is he...
at this time, he is being maintained in his own home with a guard.
Right, with a sort of police.
Also,
police.
Don't forget that Father Ochoa had told you last session about how Z uses a group of operatives
that's right.
called Ghost.
Right.
And that clearly you had come up against a couple of members of Ghost.
Right.
And so that's what Dr. McCauley is the most concerned about, is that she has no doubt whatsoever that another terror attack could easily strike St. Mary's.
Right.
Or specifically at Dean Wayland, or specifically, and she doesn't know how much they know.
Right.
I mean,
that's why
it was pretty clear to her that Tina was, intimating that Myrmidon knew something. But Tina was not explicit. Note that Myrmidon is offering help against pressure of this kind. So she's worried that you guys are being trapped between far bigger fish than St. Mary's is.
Right. I would suggest, if you feel comfortable doing it, you think about staying at a residence hotel for a little bit and varying your paths to and from work. I'm going to work on finding these guys ASAP and at least staying on top of what their movements are. Again, if there's any way you can...
I'll find out what I can. Right. I'll find out.
It feels like you're the right person.
I'll find out what I can about John. The next step concerns Ross and Kroll, who is having an academic meeting of his own of a somewhat different sort.
Okay.
Which is that Jennifer, who rescues you from an increasingly lame conversation with Liam, in which I'm sorry to say, unless you want to have a roll-off about it, I'm sorry to say that through sibling bonus is having an effect. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this. But he has this, and he's making a very, very good, his monologue, which is very much all about how tough and aggravating being the barista at Starbucks is, and about how when he was in a Cody's, sorry, I keep saying Starbucks, when he was in a Cody's, how there was this customer who was so rude to the barista, and the barista just had to take it. and how he, he was just standing there in line. He said, I really felt like I should say something, but then you don't really know if you should or not. So I had to listen to this guy, and and he's just so nailing you with this, and so and it's so beautifully timed and everything. Just after,
and I'm just in the right mood for it. Not.
Oh yeah. And so I'm going to roll this. So I'm giving myself...
This is his presence attack, then?
Oh, yes. And I'm giving myself 3d6 for a very good monologue because I'm so awesome.
Yeah,
and so,
right.
What's your presence?
My presence is 10.
10? Well, he definitely doesn't quite get a 20, which is so sad. I sure wish he had. He rolled a 1 and a 2 and a 3 on 3 of the dice otherwise. So he doesn't actually shut you down, but he does manage to keep getting the next sentence in because you keep he's throwing off your timing with his one-time presence attack. So you're rescued, however, from this conversation, which has gone on way longer than perhaps Finn wanted.
Yeah.
That's the trouble. You can't get out. He's able to keep the conversation going.
And I've got other things to do and places to be. And
right. And you're kind of sweating and wondering, how are you going to go in and get your shot if you have to traverse creepy group, right? So you're rescued by Jennifer. But perhaps not in the way you want. You get a text that says... in a sort of friendly way, and it says your ass, and then an equal sign, and then it says in, and it's the name of a kind of a loud-ish student hangout, which you may actually have frequented some years ago. The kind of place that's nominally Greek, so it has kind of
talking about like
not like a fraternity or like
no I mean like the right and so I'm not talking about the Olive Garden, which is where families and cheap ass and low rank companies go to for lunch. I'm talking more like a student corner joint that therefore would have gyro sandwiches and stuff like that, and so is kind of nominally Greek. Maybe it's called Spiros or something like that. But basically, most people go there for pizza and hamburgers.
Okay. Right.
So the has the little pizza dish, the plastic dishes, little plastic bowl dishes, and right. So it's guaranteed to be packed with loud students any hour of day or night. And so so it says your ass equals in Spiros and a smiley face. And so Santiago, how many dice in telepathy?
Yes, I have them right here. 21.
21. Very nice.
Yes.
You actually will you read Gardner very easily next to you, in the room. And Gardner is very scared for you. He's thinking practically like over and over as if he were telepathic, shut up, kid, shut up, be careful, don't blow it, shut up. And so, even though he's looking very neutral, he's obviously quite worried about you. And perhaps in a moment you'll see why. Because the first thing you encounter in Ruiz's mind is flame. Fire. Fire stinking of sulfur. Fire consuming flesh. You'll also see what appears to be an almost, a really disturbing cross, like a Catholic cross, but disturbing, running with blood, and somehow its proportions are distorted. It doesn't look right, even though it's not upside down or anything like that, but the proportions are distorted and it's very menacing. and it appears wreathed, with this fire as a backdrop, and the surface thoughts on his part are mainly about you and how much and how easy it would be. Just he's almost just pleasurably anticipating taking you apart physically, piece by piece. He has methods for this. He has methods for this that would take, they can go quickly or they can go slowly. And he's thinking about which way would be more fun. You got 2 times his intelligence. Therefore, instead of just catching this as surface, you're catching this as intention and as some background. He has done this to people on multiple occasions. And to him, this is how he gained his American citizenship. Through service, through military service. And he believes.
Oh, fuck.
He's got a smallish smile at the corner of his mouth, and for a minute when you blink, it seems to you as though his eyes are defined by those burning pits of flame before your mind clears a little bit. The Oblate, if he were here, would recognize the smell of those flames.
All right.
Because that's exactly what you got hit with in the fight in the church.
Damn. So I do my best impression of a good, obedient cop,
Excellent. You're kind of like, I'm going to take Gardner's advice. All right then.
Yes.
With your permission, we can kind of conclude that interaction because you also receive a text from Jennifer Power.
Oh.
It's completely not like her. It is hyper cheery. It's full of, internet emoticons, and it's so cute, and so, hey, hey, my favorite ex, how's it going? With a Z all written as one word, and also, saying, gee, Spiro's is great. It's rockin'. Your kind of place. And then there's a little like voice message that goes with it that you click so you can hear the voice message, and a voice and a kind of a singing voice says, "See you now."
When is this? Where is this? Am I still in the office with the guys?
Yeah. Or rather, the meeting is probably concluded. Your phone was probably turned off for the meeting, like your personal phone. So when you click it back on, this message is waiting for you. It's recent.
All right. How do you say this in English? When you say goodbye to people, but formally, like a good subordinate will do. Sorry, I have to go. Good meeting, whatever.
Right.
And I open the window and I fly off. And
I kind of like the way that your character just flies like other people walk, just like zoosh. Okay.
Yeah, that's my thing.
And then on the way you'll get another text. So you're there like, you know the campus perfectly well. So you're just like flying without looking. You're like reading your phone without looking.
Of course.
And
Yes.
and then it says another letter from Jen, and it just says no beak, no feathers.
Okay, so instant change. I'm dressed as a college student,
Okay.
and
Now,
I fly down at the entrance of the place.
perfect. So, when you go in, now Ross, I need to coordinate
Yes.
with you. Did you meet up with Jen at Spiros?
Oh, absolutely. I was like,
right.
Liam. Oh, sorry, Ro,
Right.
we've got to go.
The first
gotta
thing
go
she'll
get
take is one look at you and say, "What the hell are you doing?" I mean, when you sit down, and she looks at you and says, "What the hell are you doing? You look terrible. You need your shots."
Yeah, there's a bit of a problem with that, but I guess I'll sort that out later. So,
She has a personal stake in this issue as well. She's like,
Yes.
"Wait, what?" Okay, wait, shit.
it's
Okay,
temporary problem.
we'll deal with this in just a minute. Listen, I want you to meet a couple of people, and she waves, and two people join you. One of them is a guy who I swear looks like the worst stereotype of the intellectual campus communist. He has a buzz cut head. He's got European, granny glasses. He's got a little goatee that probably is a little more recent than he wants to convey. And he's wearing a black T-shirt. And he looks like he's been working out. He's got some traps. He's got some triceps. And so, he's kind of giving you this glare, just a glare. He's a glarer.
Oh, okay. In that case, obviously, I stick my hand out to
Drawing upon your old charm, sure. And the woman with him is much more kind of neutral looking, but she doesn't have, unlike a lot of women on this campus, especially at this mid-undergrad level, she does not have teased hair and a kind of kind of low-grade cheerleader kind of look, kind of a muted cheerleader look, which is kind of casual dress for the campus for a lot of women. She doesn't have that even a little. So the two of them sit down, and the Jen kind of looks at you with sort of a "this happens all the time" look, and says, "This is Jennifer." And and everybody knows. I mean, it's Jennifer. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's used to two women in the room having that name. It's not a big surprise. And so then and the man with her is Matt. And they and Jen tells you, Jennifer and I were in first year together, at the dorm, and we saw each other at the protest.
That was got a bit hairy, that didn't it?
She says, "Yeah, Jen kind of thinks maybe you should talk to a friend of hers and work something out." And she says, "And I was there. I was there, Liam. Or Finn, sorry. I was there, Finn. You owe someone an apology." And in walks Brian Black.
Oh, I owe him an apology, do I?
And so Jen, your ex-girlfriend, will wave to you, and we're over here, and make an intelligence roll.
All right. Yes, an 11.
Perfect. So what happens? You realize that the message that she sent was so absurdly cheerful and anti-intellectual as cover. So what you quickly realize is that this is an extremely serious meeting. That if anybody were to check your messages, there would be no way to know that there had been some kind of serious meeting taking place at this time.
Yes.
And also,
I get
why
it.
would you come to Spiros, which is widely regarded as, where you go when you want human dog food. Particularly
Yes.
after, particularly at 1:30 a.m. when the bars have kicked you out, or between classes when you just want carbohydrates. And the reason is, of course, is that it's loud and nobody hears a damn thing anyone else says at the next table.
Yes. So I have a cultural question. How are Americans greeting each other these days?
Rod, being our native regional person on the ground,
I don't know if we have a special regional greeting, but
Oh, I don't
hey,
hear
what's
Rod.
up?
Hey, there it is.
Hey, what's up is probably just fine for students.
But do you guys like shake hands or do a fist bump or
Oh,
no,
do the
No, no
high
one fist
five or
bumps.
anything?
no,
No
It's-
touching at
no
all?
touching. Yeah.
Oh, it's so weird. All
Well,
right.
Rod, what do you say?
well,
Oh,
yeah, no,
um,
this doesn't feel like a handshake situation to me.
Actually, Jennifer Powers nudges Matt. Just anybody would miss it. Just nudges him, and he puts out his hand to you, which is a little more formal than the circumstances warrant, but it's polite.
Yes. Yes, perfect. And Matt and me, we used to be friends, right? Before
Yeah.
he started dating us. So that's the guy I greeted first. Hey man, how are you doing?
Everything's fine. He says, we're good. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Um,
Hello, Shani. Oh, how are you? I'm Brian. I say to the other two.
Right. Jenny introduces, you call her Jenny, which is, you see, we've got two names that we're
Yeah.
supposed to use. We've got Jen Edwards and Jennifer Powers. And Jennifer Powers is wrongly called Jenny by her ex-boyfriend. So we got
Yes. Actually,
Right.
it's power. Unless
Power.
you think
No,
too,
that's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Unbelievable. I don't know.
It's fine. Everybody gets introduced, and so Finn is included. You're looking at Finn,
Yeah.
and also that this woman, Jen Edwards, is looking at Finn, and Finn doesn't have to look at her; he can feel her look.
Brian, I think we got off on the wrong foot the other day.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I'm sure you were just doing your job, flying around campus, looking after, keeping the peace. I may have got a little agitated about it. So it was me who,
You were the guy with the boulder?
yeah.
Okay, says Jen. Okay. Don't.
I'm sure
Right.
it was a
Jennifer Power looks at you and says, "He's saying he's sorry. All right."
Man,
Yes, I'm saying
how were
sorry.
you able to? You don't look that muscular. How did you lift that thing up, man? That's some serious
Jen
strength you got there.
Jen Edwards says, "Later."
All right. So I want to.
This
try
was
to
a
use-
negotiated meeting between Jennifers. Each one is carefully managing their end of it.
You don't mess with the chance. I want to use my telepathy on this guy, like right now, if I may, because he threw a boulder at me. I need to know things about him.
He is so nosy. Have you guys noticed this? All right,
I think it's
go ahead. What's your ego, Ross? Or rather, what's
my-
Finn's ego?
Finn's ego is 10.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be a walk. All right.
There's nothing.
Yeah, unless you roll an 18, then you've got it. Go ahead.
It's a 13.
Fine. With this particular, you definitely catch, with a 13, you're going to catch everybody. the surface thoughts of roughly a dozen undergraduates yakking away at lunch are really irritating.
Yes.
So, as a matter of fact, you might have been trying to sort of block them out the whole time you've been here. And by opening yourself up to probe a little bit here, it all comes in. You just learn a whole bunch of social, a whole bunch of like social science class studying that the person at the next table just did for their upcoming exam. And it's like, so, but Rod, Ross, tell us Finn's surface thought. Oh, do the 76 roll.
I love the 76.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
6 por 4, 24, y es 34, 35.
Well, that's insane. Well, you will learn that this man is actually an unlicensed superhero. And that his name is Liam. Sorry, I keep saying that. His name is Finn Walsh, and that he is a little older than you. That he is now you cannot like read his deep motivations and deep history, but you get quite a bit. What you'll really pick up is that he doesn't like people like you. He does not like.
Yeah,
licensed, visible.
I picked that when he threw a boulder at me.
That's currently in his thoughts right now because it's part of the conversation, and you will recognize that he genuinely thought that you were threatening students.
Thank you. Yes,
right. He genuinely did think that, and that he's not just a berserker. He was sort of more emotionally prepared to act on it because it was you, but it's not like he's a maniac. So
so. He's not only an unlicensed power person, but an unlicensed superhero, actually.
Yes, and also, you suddenly have, and you feel sick, like you're in some sort of hideous state of poisoning and heroin withdrawal. He's suffering right now, physically. And you realize that maybe his slightly distracted look is much more about physical discomfort than it is, the food.
Perfect, yes.
Maybe,
I'm so comfortable right now.
So ahead, Ross.
So maybe he also gets the sense that I'm kind of thinking, okay, maybe I can let this to my advantage. Maybe I can get him to do me a favor,
right?
Help me sort something out. A problem I have back home.
Ah, okay. So yeah, he's got possible.
What did he say?
He said that Finn is thinking that maybe this could be an advantageous situation for him. He's got problems.
Good, perfect.
Right,
yes,
right.
Sure.
So okay.
The more the merrier.
So great. Now let's take it first. Now that this staging on my part is now over, you two are going to have a conversation.
All right.
And the only thing I want to say is that Matt and Jen Power are there in part because they're very, very worried about the crackdown on campus, the attention, the playing up of the anarchists on campus. Matt's pretty much into. You can pick this up from him immediately. Matt's saying, well, if they're going to say Antifa's on campus, then let's be Antifa on campus.
Man.
Yeah, he's like, well, okay then. There's our card. If they're going to treat us like this, let's let them see what some righteous anarchist protest could actually be. And he's thinking, if we can get Silverbeak on our side, this is going to be perfect cover.
So, what do you think about that, Finn?
Well, remember, he didn't say that. Matt didn't say that.
Oh, he's thinking. Yes, I'm sorry.
Right.
I thought he was speaking.
Right. Okay.
So no one has said anything yet?
Only that the issue here is that Jen Power will say, we are really in a lot of trouble. The students here who have some shred of social justice left are all too scared. And and then Jennifer Edwards will say, it's not just radicals. They need something to hold on to. They need some cause. They need some way forward. And we, you're here with the security people. We saw that you went after Richards. And we think that, maybe you could work with us.
Also, it's maybe not just here. There was the church burnt down on the Oblate School the other day too. All sorts of
right. Didn't and Matt will say they were calling that some kind of terrorist attack,
which maybe isn't the whole story.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Well, let's cut over to poor Rod, as usual, left out in the cold. And so while you guys are having this conversation, what will Michael do? Oh, wait, we have a roll to make from Cheryl. Dice fell in the wrong spot and got mixed up with other dice. There. Ooh, beautiful roll. She will, after a little bit of administrative song and dancing and interactions, will let you know a couple of things. That John's protective custody is much more custody than it is protective.
Oh.
And it stinks. That there's really almost no way to tell that he's actually there. She kind of suspects that he's not. And that either, if he is an informer, like a willing one, then they might have, Ghost or Blackwater might well have, basically reeled him in. And if he's not, then he's in danger from these people. But we also have to worry about, danger to Father Ochoa. I said he went way underground, right? She said we don't have to worry about, about Manuel, because I think he's, I think he's good at this sort of thing. But my biggest concern now is you as the Oblate. She folds her arms and said, John would hate it if I said this. But maybe it's time, and she used exactly the same words as Father Ochoa did a few nights ago. Maybe it's time to send a message of our own.
Understood. I have some work to do as the Oblate. As soon as I know anything, I will keep you informed.
All right. She says, good luck. I'll follow your advice. I will, I'll contact you about she says, I'll pick up, what do they call it? What do the kids call them? Burners? Oh.
Good plan, yeah. Get two, give me one.
All right, so we'll go to your action. I'm going to open it up to the players. What are you guys going to do and say and think about and take action upon?
I want to tell Matt and the two Shenifers. I want to ask them why are they going so hard on how do you call them, the political activist students, the militant students? What are they feeling menaced about? What's the threat? Yes, that's it. That's the question.
Matt
Because,
will begin to respond with a long answer that includes the word dialectic.
Yes, I figured as much.
Obviously.
Yes.
But
Can I princess attack him to shut up a bit?
yes, you can. So
I always we could do that.
I know. Go right ahead. Tell me if you're going to say anything or whether you're just going to speak and act in a forceful way differently. In other words, will this be in verbal or a non-verbal communication?
I will put my hand on his shoulder, like making him remember from when we were best buddies, and I was the one dating Jennifer Powers, and tell him
he could give Liam a run for his money with his little kind of emotional corkscrew there. Yeah.
I tell him like, yeah, man, I get it. Like, I'm with you, but I mean, concretely in this situation, what's going on? And I look at the Shents and like I want them to answer to me, because they are the ones who are more in the present.
Tell me your presence.
My presence, dear sir, is 10.
That's not.
Is that all? Huh.
I thought it was 25 last session.
Yeah, I thought it was 15. Or
25 is what I remember hearing this. I thought that was his whole deal.
Maybe I took the shit from an older email.
Yeah, that would be a bad thing, because that first design is not where we had your character.
No. Let me see. I will have to do another...
Okay. Well, I think that you had a base 15 is my double check on that, but you get but you're going to get 2 more dice. So roll 5 dice. 2 more dice for a very good monologue.
Right. So that is 5 dice.
If you're wondering where I got the bonus dice for Sorcerer from, it's all here.
Yeah.
You get a bonus dice for a surprise move. You get a bonus dice for saying the right thing in the right time. You get a bonus die for making things go in the in a setting appropriate way. It's all right here.
So you told me 5 dice, right?
Yes.
Yes. 22.
Ooh. Matt accepts his place in the conversation.
Good.
For the whole conversation. Yeah.
Wow.
And Finn, observing this, sees that something about being perhaps a child celebrity,
public face of heroing.
Well, he wasn't a superhero. He was just the boy who flies. But this is being wearing the beak is kind of his superhero thing. But the important thing is that there it is. All right then. But he is excellent. But
I got a little prop.
Perfect
For some cosplay.
So the important point though is that he seems to know what he's doing when it comes to people control. People interaction, and so you perhaps envy the fact that you can't do that to Liam very easily. So the Jennifer and Jen, they're not twins. They have different perspectives on this. The one you know better is Jennifer, so she's going to be the one probably to roleplay this, and she will tell you that this is a dedicated push that the university administration really needs the backup money from Homeland Security and from a number of police organizations, not the police technically, but things like the Benevolent Order of the Police and the Policemen's Union and groups like that, all of whom are very powerful everywhere in the United States. And they all would be very supportive toward the university if they get the message that these the implication is that people with anarchist and leftist rhetoric are A, not being real Texans, let alone Americans, and B, clearly are either outside influencers themselves or outside people themselves, or have been naively influenced by outside people. And so therefore, the more the university puts on a big public face of this position, the more the university gains from the state system of money and considerations that every state university and state college is terrified of every year. Because it's real easy to chop money to the universities. No one ever lost a vote for doing that.
Yes, of course.
So they have to beg and plead and be very cooperative every single year so that they don't, quote, become more efficient, which is what the state representatives would call it. So, so therefore, yes, this is where the pressure is coming from. It's very real, and that they are, you know, what she sighed. She says, "We're not asking you to spy. You've actually got a lot of credit here on campus." And she kind of like looks at Matt for a second and looks back at you and says, "You've done a good job." So. And Jen Edwards, or Jennifer Edwards, will look at you and say, "Yeah, we're asking for your help, straight up. No sneaky, nothing sneaky. No secret agreement, no plan."
Well, of course,
and then she looks at Finn and says, "Finn."
Mm-hmm.
She says, "Will you help?"
Yes. I'm sure if you college kids need a hand, I can be there to help you.
Ah, yes.
I'd like to take a moment to appreciate the irony of her saying we're not asking you to spy when he's doing that all the time.
I know.
I ask them, of course, I tell them, of course you can count on me. Oh, but why would it need to be more secure? I am here. I'm the university superhero. This is the safest university ever. We got Silverbeak.
Mm-hmm. Finn, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, it feels to me like if they're getting pressure from one side, we need to push back from the other. And show them that, I don't know, kids aren't just cattle they can push around and expect to put up with cops on campus and bully boy tactics.
And Matt says, "And we're getting ready."
Yeah,
Matt, maybe your telepathy is still firing on and off, and Matt is talking further than is real. Matt's actual street readiness in terms of a gang of people ready to go at it with the cops is, shall we say, premature.
Yeah, man, but I mean, for instance, let's say Finn, right? Let's say we bring you in. You're not registered, so you can't actually go around being a beacon of security the way I am. We can't use you to prove that the university can be a safe place and we don't need cops or something like that. And if we use you against the cops, they're going to bring me in to fight you, or some other people worse than me. You know, I'm not sure we can brute strength this one. This sounds more like a politics thing. Ron, do I have any, or can I have any relationship with the dean?
You have as a public figure, you have a pretty good acquaintance with every administrator, the dean of students, the dean of admissions, the provost.
Am I wrong to think that the Dean is a major player in this? Like, he's someone who could turn this policy a bit around?
There's no... Okay, we'll talk more about university administrations in a minute. Right now, I want to see what Ross is ready to say, and I also want to see what Rod is up to. I want to know actions on the Oblate's part. I want to roll. I want to roll some dice.
Me too, man.
All right.
Yeah. So what are you going to do, Rod?
Doing me? Okay. So the first thing that I have in mind that's a pretty easy thing to set up is just because all I have to do is replay my memories of the confrontation. And so I'm picturing doing the magic mirror thing again with the guys holding it as an intelligence boost to represent. The mirror is showing me back the memories of the confrontation. And what I'm looking for is just kind of maybe a detective role to see if I could make Brimstone and Scorpion out of costume by height, build, voice. That's one thing.
Aha.
Thing two, maybe have my books coming out, swirling out around me to sort of research, see if I can find the origin of Brimstone's powers, things like that. What I'm looking for is parameters, limitations. Are there floaty, transparent powers maybe coming from a focus? Maybe is that cloak of focus? That's one thing. What's the parameters of what kind of spells could Brimstone be able to use? And
wow, fantastic.
Kind of can I set up a...
I love the replay. Okay. You're actually watching the movie of the events. Yeah. And so what you're looking at is, if I'm recalling correctly, first of all, it's an intelligence boost and a detective work roll.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You go right ahead. If you have insane amounts of points, if you want to pour it all in there, you can.
Yeah, I'm looking for pretty much anything but an 18.
Right.
Knock on wood. It's not an 18. It's a 12.
Okay. So, yes, you are actually going to get quite a bit of information. Ghost shares a power. They are each individually different in terms of superpowers, but there is a power that they all share. And so, therefore, they can all do that sort of not very fast flight and going desolid. Mm-hmm. And you also see in the fight that they were very clearly thrown off by both of your powers. Okay. Neither of them knew what was going on, and so therefore they were trying different powers on you, but they were also very much trying to coordinate with one another, but they had been thrown off and they had those bad rolls. So what you see is a pair of people very used to working in a team being forced to improvise and not being able to quite get it together. So the implication being that if you were up against them prepared, you might be in for a much, much nastier situation.
Right.
So they share that one power. It's not a focus.
Okay.
But there are, as you were asking about Brimstone specifically, the man is... there is some sort of distorted religion at work there, and that he had been actually not at his best because of the church surroundings. He didn't like fighting in there.
Interesting.
Right. And that also, but his powers are very much torture. He is a torturer. That he ripped information from your mind, from Father Ochoa's mind, and you know what? He found stuff out from you. He found stuff out from you, and you don't know what it was, except that you now suddenly realize that maybe Cheryl isn't paranoid enough.
Right.
And so that's probably one of the most disturbing things is to recognize that even in being nominally defeated, they came out ahead tactically,
Right.
or strategically rather, and
Right.
that also Scorpion, when he actually contacted Crawl, when he actually he actually used a strike up through his ribcage, which was a killing strike, easily would have just killed an ordinary person, just by punching straight into their body with his fingertips.
Right.
And his fingers went right into Crawl and kind of went thunk, and kind of stopped, right?
Yeah.
He realized something right then. You can see it in his face. He's like, oh. And that, in combination with the presence attack that Brimstone made on him to say, let's get out of here, he was like, okay, he was inclined to do it then. Before that, remember, he was all about trying to fight Crawl directly.
Mm-hmm.
After that contact with his body, it didn't take much of a presence attack to get him to break off and go.
Okay.
So, yeah. Hold on just a sec, Santiago. So you're seeing these now. As far as the other deeper information, that was you got a hell of you got a really nice detective role going on there. What specific you can ask? So that was the description of the fight you asked about.
Right.
What was the sort of probing information that you were aiming at?
Well, what I was saying. Well, the first thing was just whether I thought I could recognize them out of costume by height, build, voice.
Easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second thing, well, if Brimstone is using magic that was written down somewhere, I can get that information. That's my deal.
I see that. I wouldn't call his powers magic.
Oh, okay.
They may be. Maybe sort of the cloaky look sort of fooled you a little bit.
Okay.
It's more of almost a psychological manifestation of his, shall we say, predilections and position in life.
Okay. All right.
Disturbing as that may be.
All right. He shook me with all that Latin talking, but all right.
There's a religious aspect to it, and so from that standpoint, yes, he uses his powers. They make sense to him to use in that language and in that way.
Okay.
So the legalistic side of that, perhaps, you could investigate. You're very educated in that kind of thing.
Right.
And so, yes, we will keep that in mind for when and if you find yourself in an attempt to capitalize on that.
Right.
That we'll have that on hand.
Okay. Well, if that wraps that up, then I need to do something deeper, I guess. I don't know if you want to.
You want to play with your. You want to play with your powers. You want to go play with your variable power pool for a while.
Yeah.
Now we are into our situation. Rod is considering powers, funky powers. We have our campus discussion. I don't want to front load with the non-player characters too much, but the big question is whether Matt is going to push. He wants to push for a big Antifa drive here at school. He wants to start an Antifa chapter. He wants to recruit people. He wants guys with black T-shirts, and they're anti-gun is the big thing. The whole they want to cast the alt-right as these crazy gunslingers, and they'll just stick with their baseball bats and their their repurposed frat paddles and stuff like that. And so but the whole point is to have a presence on campus so that people, bringing in speakers like Richards, they'll tell you a little bit about the National Policy Institute, which just opened a chapter in Texas. The person that they brought in to speak is nationally notorious for saying outrageous things, and is very happy to have had a chapter of the National Policy Institute opened in Texas. And you'll, for example, he didn't have a Texas accent. He has an East Coast accent. And so he was extremely, or rather, it was a big deal to have him come and speak. And so they feel as though, the situation, most of the students are actually pretty disgusted with the event, with the people who organized the event. So that's sort of the issue at hand. Is there or isn't there going to be a push for Antifa, which isn't, again, you don't call Antifa headquarters and say, we want to make a chapter here. When he says he wants to have an Antifa chapter, he just basically means he wants to start using the word as a device for people to organize around and to take appropriate action. So basically what he's saying is that if there had been an event like the last one on campus, that a group of people would have shown up armed and ready for a confrontation and ready to say, you're Nazis, we're going to punch you.
And prevent them from speaking and having a platform.
Right. Well, and then they would have events of their own and present their position. And as far as they're concerned, as far as Matt's concerned, all of the nice and polite, let's be civil discussions have only handed the right wing everything they wanted at every single step. And so Jennifer Power actually agrees. She's less gung-ho about actually getting into the combat, but she says, I don't want things to get violent like that, but he's right. He's right. All of the talk, all of the negotiation, all of the agreements, all of the safe spaces, all of the little ways that we have to stand there politely while we let these assholes talk. And in the meantime, when we have events, we're forced to we can't use the quad in a great big quadrangle with a sound system and everything. They'll let us use, one of the secondary libraries.
Yes.
Or something like that. But, and we can't have more than 50 people and all kinds of things. And then the permits don't come through. And, we've tried. I've been involved in this now for a year. And it's not working. We're being shut down. Let alone
the use of. So can I speak in character?
Sure.
I don't want to. Sure. Yeah, but the use of violence. Finn, for instance. Can you stop bullets or deflect them? How are you against ballists?
Maybe depends how many. I think this is bigger than just the university as well. I think San Antonio is turning into a war zone with these people trying to take over. We need to do everything we can to push them back.
Yeah, but I can deal with a few bullets myself, but Matt, I look at Matt. Can you deflect bullets?
He says, you spread those wings of yours and land in the middle of a confrontation like that, and they will run screaming. It's your role here that actually keeps people from being shot. How many people got shot a few days ago? Nobody. Why? Are you going to tell me that you did something non-violent when you grabbed Richards and flew him off?
Of course not, but I can deflect bullets, man. What are you going to do with your bat or whatever you said wrong that there are repurposed for this? What are you are the chance going to do when people start shooting at you? These people were armed.
Well, that's why we need people. That's why we need people like you two. I mean, and Jennifer, Jennifer Edwards kind of looks at Finn and says, "Look, I'm really sorry that I brought you into this way, but it's true. We need your help." And she also looks up at you and says, "And by the way," and she points at Finn and says, "He's sneaky."
Can you turn invisible? Something like that? That could come in handy.
Something like that.
Yeah, nobody's. Yeah, you get. I should point out, you don't even need an intelligence roll. A person with off the record powers isn't going to just tell you what he can do.
Yeah, but we are friends now. All right, so I'm not used to that kind of people. So
yeah, and Mister, I keep half my powers secret anyway over here. Yeah.
Let me. Why don't you guys let me first have like a little chat with the dean and see where things are going towards.
Mm-hmm. Where things are going.
Where things are going, yes. And see what can we do that isn't just playing right into what their stereotype on us is. That's what they're expecting us to do. They wanted us to be violent. When he threw the boulder at me, that's what they were trying to what they were waiting for, to start taking out the guns. Can I do like a princess attack again? This is pissing me off.
No, I had no idea you were feeling so strongly about it. But the fact is that you're simply making your case, and that's okay. And really, they came to you. Jen trusts you. Right, whatever else is going on here, she trusts you. And Jennifer Edwards is a very different relationship with Finn. They don't even, trust isn't even an issue for the two of them.
Yes.
And so the thing that, I mean, in many ways, Jennifer is, turns to Finn and will articulate it and says, "This is what you and I need. This is what we need. We need a purpose." So, that's kind of where, I mean, if you guys, what all they're really pushing for is the idea that there's some coordination among you guys to arrive at some kind of coordinated plan, some kind of coordinated strategy for whatever it is that is going to happen next. Matt's willing to find out, especially when he hears that you can just talk to the administrators. He's like, excellent, fantastic, great. Find out where things stand. That's exactly what we need to know. And so is that cool? Can we stop with that?
Yeah.
Right there?
Sounds good to me.
Oh, one more thing. After we have like a beer, I want to ask the guys if any of them knows a lawyer, because I'm having some super powered. If it's a lawyer that's familiar with super powered issues, the better, because I'm catching some heat from the new police on campus because of what I did, and also from the guys who have copyrighted my powers. So I think I'm.
Finn, do you have any comments on any of those things he just said?
I may know a guy who can help you, and he may owe me a little bit of a favour. We can stop by and see how he's getting on. If you like.
What an excellent idea!
I'm totally running out of money with the legal fees. Yeah.
I also was going to say that in fact, I'll even say that Jennifer Edwards perks up and says, "What's this about more police on campus? Some kind of other security on campus? What's that?"
Oh, you guys didn't know? I thought this was part of your thing. What you were mad about?
No, they have no idea what you're talking about.
Seriously? Oh, then maybe I shouldn't be mentioning it right now. Wait for
They're like, I'm going to include Finn on this. 4 pairs of eyes look at you, and without having to say anything, they tell you it's too late for that.
Yeah, so I guess it's going to be official in a couple days.
That's right. You know?
But today I guess it's going to be official in a few days, but today I was visited by a really scary-looking private police guy, and they're bringing in more cops on campus, a different force. Like they're doing the how do you say it, Ron? When you
Outsource.
use private? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I had it in Spanish, you know,
Right.
tercerizar.
Oh, okay. All
But
right.
I did, yes, because they are third parties, you know. That's why we call it tercerizar. Yeah, outsourcing. Yes, they are outsourcing because I guess I don't know, man. Maybe I guess I'm not enough now. I don't know, but yeah. So I have 2 bosses now, and it's a pain in the ass.
Who are
and
these people? Says somebody.
They are some sort of government trained, but cops who are going to be helping the campus police, but maybe also like teaching them stuff. I got a really scary vibe from them, like as if
everybody, the 3 non-player characters at the table are very concerned. I mean, all of them, and Jennifer Jennifer Power will say, "What's the name? What are they called?"
That's my character. Remember that, Ron? Because
Sure.
I sure as hell don't.
Yes, remember it.
Academy.
I have it somewhere around here.
Academy.
Academy. Their Academy is their name. They struck me as more like types, you know, more
That's
like
Black. Yeah, they all know the name. They say that's Blackwater. That's the domestic. That's the branch of Blackwater that specializes in local security in the United States. Which is why they do work with university campuses, and they work with a variety of police force. They outsource to police force all the time, and they have that name. What kind of name is that? Academy. They spell it with an I.
Academy.
Yes, so it's kind of interesting. When Father Ochoa was talking about them, he called them Z, which is the rebranded extra-national branch of Blackwater that they gave a new name to when the word Blackwater became toxic.
Right.
But for domestic work, they call it Academy, and most people don't know that it's Blackwater. So,
but we do, right?
Oh, everybody at this table sure does. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, they're like,
you know?
yeah, they're scared shitless. They're like, you got to be kidding.
No, they're very intense. You know, it's like as if we weren't doing enough. I mean, yeah. So I don't know. I really do need the lawyering because I don't want to be left out of my position. You know, it's like they don't need a superhero. They got.
We'll say that again, Finn?
I said we need you there as well. So yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Right, and I think Qual just probably put 2 and 2 together very quickly.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, excellent. Oblate activity.
Okay, so this is more of a long con deal or a stakeout deal, but my conception is that in order to get some idea of where these guys are, what they're doing, I have to kind of go to the hiring source. So the name of the supervisory special agent of ICE in San Antonio would be public knowledge. I mean, I could look it up right now if I wanted.
It's on my sheet.
It's on your sheet. Okay.
Hey, listen, I found the address of ICE in San Antonio.
Yeah.
It is U.S. Highway 281 North. And I have made up a name for our fictional version of the field director, whose name is Clancy Graves.
Okay. Presumably where he works is public. Does he work at that office?
Oh, yeah.
By the airport?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's like a sort of warehouse park, office park area, and there are not that many nearby places to eat lunch. So, do you see what
I do.
I'm trying to. What my power is going to be is, this will sound familiar, no special effect telepathy, increased endurance. So double endurance, but that gets me the 66 dice that I need. Well,
Right.
maybe not need, but want.
You can't exceed the limit of your variable power pool, which is 30 points, correct?
I can't exceed the active.
Right, you can't exceed the active
you're-
cost. But the reason
you're
you would
saying
limit
that-
something, is then that would mean you could have multiple powers all at once, all at the
Oh,
high
I see.
active
Because
cost.
because the no special effect would increase the active cost.
Correct.
So I'd only be getting
Less
That would,
telepathy dice, yes.
so that would only get me 3 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I do need to talk to Silver Beacon. I'll give it a shot with my own limited telepathy, and then if that doesn't get me what I want,
What is it you're trying to do? And, I mean, help me out. I turn the page in the comic.
right,
What do I see?
right. I'm just sort of staking this guy out where he eats lunch and trying.
So
to
you're
read.
physically at, like, one of the local diners in the warehousey area.
Yeah. I have a suit, you know. Like,
Yeah. No, that sounds
I can
fine.
blend it.
Mhm.
Okay.
That sounds fine. It's kind of funny. It looks like a cheap corner diner built into like one of the little prefab
Right.
buildings with the overly, those areas. They're all like overly landscaped.
Yeah.
You know, they're like these little places where you drive in, and there's all these buildings, and they all look like condominiums, and it's right. It's kind of like robots live there or something, because it's all perfectly landscaped and nobody's walking around, and there's nowhere to go except to work, and like the bagel place and the diner place, and so there's a whole ton of them in suburban Illinois, which is kind of what I'm using to describe.
Right.
So the picture I'm getting is that you're basically going to be having lunch.
Yeah. Pretty much. And
What would be a San Antonio thing to be having on the menu there?
it's probably for this type of place, it's probably a burger place or taco place or burgers and tacos.
I was going to say there's got to be like a salsa burger or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the burgers taste more Mexican than they should, and the chimichangas taste less Mexican than they should. That's the way I would put it. So we have and then you're just going to like blast people with telepathy, or when Graves comes in sooner or later, you're going to try and zap him. Okay.
Yeah, that's my intention, is to sort of stake him out and sing him when I can.
Well, that's only going to be 3 dice of telepathy.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that whole active cost issue.
Or let's put it this way. This is what I'm getting, is that you're kind of like, you located it, you went there, you got a look, and you kind of suffered a little bit about exactly how you were going to handle this.
Right.
So, Kroll and you have contact information, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So go. Yeah.
So, Kroll, you were going to contact Michael.
Yes, I
So-
will.
Now's the time. As you're sitting there going, now, how do I know? What the hell do I do? If only I knew two other superheroes with a wide variety of powers to draw upon, how much better
Yeah.
this would all be.
Yeah.
Right, so Mike, phone rings.
Okay.
Right,
Let's.
Michael,
Finn.
how are you feeling after the other night?
I don't know. Let me ask Ron. Ron, how am I feeling?
I let a few days
How does it
past, so you're
Okay.
back up to snuff. You're okay.
Okay, so that's no problem.
Now, you still, look, we might even have seen you, like, putting on your shirt, and you like, probably touched, like,
Got-
your healing
yeah.
burns and grimaced or something. But that just lets us know that you're okay.
Okay.
If- you actually were hit for a fair amount of bodies, so I'm going to probably put you at, like, 1 down on body. Left
All right,
over
that's fine.
At this point. Yeah.
That's fine.
Still wincing a little bit, but...
I could just put all my points in recovery.
Regeneration. Snap
Oh,
your
regeneration.
fingers. You want 3 points of regeneration. You've got it.
Okay.
You want to have done that a bit ago?
Let's say, yeah.
Right. Matter of fact, that morning shot, there you were. You're like, ouch! And then you're like, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
Zoosh.
Yeah.
Fine.
And the special effects was that always so much fun?
Some sort of, pardon me, some sort of weird bath ritual with beings scrubbing me
Man,
down with.
I can't believe you took a bubble bath with like healing spirits.
You're a married man. What are you doing?
What happens in the ancient Egyptian bubble bath stays.
Oh man, I'm liking the visuals. Now, one last thing before the contact. Jennifer Edwards is going to be insistent that we get Kroll to the garage.
Okay. I'm in no shape to deal with things in the garage.
Yeah, but
So
you need your dose, though.
I need my dose. So,
Matter of fact, here,
Take more damage.
8 more damage. Stun.
8 more days. I'm even less in any shape to go and do anything in the garage by myself.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, Jennifer's coming with you, of course, but
yep, and that's good. But I feel like horrible oozy slime thing that wants to kill people needs superpowered backup. So, this is why I'm calling Michael at whatever early time this is, in order to. It feels early. We were out drinking late last night. Michael.
Finn.
I have 2 things. First, I could really use some assistance with a small biochemical problem. And
Well,
you seem like the
that's-
person to help. But you even more seem like the person to help a friend a new friend I have who really needs some advice about superpowered legalities.
All right.
And you seem like the person who would know most about that I know.
That
would
is
you
my
be-
line. More
Would you
so
be able
than
to help out Silverbeak,
the mascot?
the superpowered mascot?
Right. Yeah. Let's set up an appointment.
Cool. Can you come round to mine in about half an hour? And
Sure.
I'll text in the address.
Mhm.
All right.
All right. So, how are you going to deal with troublesome brother?
Good question. Did he say the other evening why he was hanging around, or is he just like passing through? Or I kind of can't remember. Maybe he didn't. Okay.
He might have played that a little bit a little bit waiting for you to ask and not volunteering any information.
Cool. So I'm going in, find Liam, and point out that he has basically eaten everything in the refrigerator and he needs to go and do a grocery run to sort this out. Because,
Oh, well, he says, I don't really know what you like. I mean, I don't really know like what to get. I mean, I'm not really used to this. I mean, what if I get stuff you don't like? I mean,
I'm not
kind
that
of-
fussy. It'll be fine.
He is adopting a posture, which is exactly the opposite of running along.
Brother, you've come in here, you've eaten all my food, yeah. As you point out, running down the life of a barista, how much do you think it cost me to fill up that fridge? I don't mind what you put in it, put something in it.
All right then. He says, oh, sure. I mean, you didn't have to. He said, of course. You didn't have to say that. I mean, come on. Then he goes.
Worry about that later. Okay. Right. I need a plan for how to deal with horrible slime.
Mm-hmm. Right. He goes, oh, hey. I'll get your car washed, too. Kind of needs it. You know.
Yeah, sure, you're right. That would be great. Thank you.
All right. So, having gained the moral high ground, off he goes.
I thank you so much. Oh, I should say, Brian, maybe I have texted him to suggest he give him an address to come round to. I have someone who might help him with his legal problem.
Excellent. Okay. So, Brian, will you come?
Really? Thanks, man. Yes. Just tell me where and when. I'll be there.
Sure.
And send him the address. And as soon as you can, in the next